Imagine a world where every interaction leaves you feeling attacked, every word cuts like a knife, and every glance seems loaded with judgment. Now, what if I told you that this world isn't real? That it's a creation of your own mind, fueled by unresolved triggers and misunderstood emotions? Welcome to a journey of self-discovery and emotional intelligence. Today, we're diving deep into the crucial distinction between genuine disrespect and perceived disrespect. This video might just change the way you view every interaction in your life. Let's start with a hard truth. Your feelings, while valid, aren't always facts. They're your brain's interpretation of events, colored by past experiences and current emotions. But here's the kicker. That interpretation isn't always accurate. Think about the last time you felt disrespected. Was it really about what the other person said or did? Or was it more about how their words or actions made you feel? This is where the line between actual disrespect and perceived disrespect begins to blur. Disrespect is an action, a choice someone makes to treat you poorly. Feeling disrespected, on the other hand, is your emotional response to a situation. And that response, it's not always in sync with reality. Here's where things get interesting. Our brains are wired for self-protection. When we feel threatened, even emotionally, our defenses go up. We start listening with what I call emotional ears, hearing everything through a filter of past hurts and current insecurities. These emotional ears are like overzealous bodyguards. They're always on high alert, ready to interpret any comment or action as a potential threat. The problem? They often overreact, seeing disrespect where none was intended. Let's break this down with an example. Imagine your coworker says, "Hey, did you finish that report yet?" With neutral ears, this is a simple question. But with emotional ears, suddenly it becomes, "You're so slow and incompetent. Why haven't you finished yet?" See the difference? The words didn't change, but your interpretation did. This is the power and danger of emotional listening. It can turn innocent comments into perceived attacks, all because of our internal triggers. So what exactly are these triggers? They're emotional hot buttons formed by past experiences and unresolved issues. Maybe you were criticized a lot as a child, so now any question about your work feels like an attack on your competence. Or perhaps you've been betrayed before, so now you're hyper-vigilant about any sign of potential disloyalty. These triggers are like landmines in your psyche, ready to explode at the slightest touch. The tricky part? Most of the time, we're not even aware of these triggers. They operate below the surface, influencing our reactions without our conscious knowledge. This unconscious influence is what makes them so powerful and so problematic. Here's where it gets really interesting. Until you make peace with these triggers, everything will seem like an attack. It's like walking through life wearing glasses that tint everything with a shade of threat and disrespect. But here's the good news. You can change those glasses. You can learn to distinguish between real disrespect and perceived disrespect. It's not easy, but it's absolutely possible. And it's a game changer for your relationships and overall well-being. So how do we start making this shift? The first step is awareness. Start paying attention to your emotional reactions. When you feel disrespected, pause and ask yourself, is this really about what just happened, or is it triggering something from my past? This simple act of pausing and questioning can create a crucial gap between stimulus and response. It's in this gap that you have the power to choose your reaction rather than being controlled by your triggers. Next, practice separating facts from interpretations. What actually happened? What was actually said? Now, how did you interpret it? Are there other possible interpretations? This exercise can help you see how much of your reaction is coming from you instead of the other person. Here's a powerful technique. Whenever you feel disrespected, try to imagine the most benign interpretation possible. Maybe your friend who didn't text back isn't ignoring you. Perhaps they're dealing with a family emergency. This doesn't mean assuming the best is always correct, but it can help balance out our tendency to assume the worst. Another crucial step is learning to communicate openly about your feelings. Instead of reacting defensively, try expressing your experience. When you said X, I felt Y because of Z. This approach opens the door for clarification and understanding, rather than escalation and conflict. Remember, most people aren't out to disrespect you. They're caught up in their own lives, dealing with their own insecurities and triggers. Recognizing this can help you approach interactions with more empathy and less defensiveness. Now, let's be clear. This doesn't mean you should tolerate genuine disrespect. There are times when people are truly being disrespectful, and it's important to set boundaries and stand up for yourself in those situations. The key is learning to distinguish between those instances and times when your triggers are misinterpreting the situation. One powerful way to work through your triggers is to journal about your emotional reactions. When you feel disrespected, write it down. What happened? How did you feel? What past experiences might be influencing your reaction? This self-reflection can help you identify patterns and start to heal old wounds. Consider seeking professional help if you find your triggers are significantly impacting your life and relationships. I can provide valuable tools and insights to help you work through deep-seated issues and develop healthier emotional responses. Practice mindfulness and emotional regulation techniques. Meditation, deep breathing, and grounding exercises can help you stay centered and respond from a place of calm rather than reactivity. These skills take time to develop, but they're invaluable in managing emotional responses. Remember, changing these patterns takes time and patience. You're rewiring neural pathways that have been reinforced over years, maybe even decades. Be kind to yourself in this process. Celebrate small victories and learn from setbacks rather than beating yourself up over them. As you work on this, you'll likely notice a shift in your relationships. When you're not constantly on the defensive, you create space for more authentic connections. You'll find yourself less drained by interactions and more able to enjoy the people around you. This work isn't just about improving your relationships with others. It's about improving your relationship with yourself. As you learn to question your emotional reactions, you'll develop a deeper understanding of your own psyche. This self-knowledge is incredibly empowering. You might be wondering, what if I'm dealing with someone who is genuinely disrespectful? That's a great question. The skills we're discussing here will actually help you in those situations too. When you're not reacting from a place of triggered emotion, you're better able to address real disrespect calmly and effectively. Here's a powerful truth. The more you heal your triggers, the less power others' actions have over your emotional state. You become more resilient, more centered, and more in control of your own experience of life. Isn't that a liberating thought? Let's talk about the ripple effect of this work. As you learn to distinguish between disrespect and feeling disrespected, you'll likely become more mindful of how your own words and actions might be perceived by others. This increased empathy and awareness can transform not just your life, but the lives of those around you. Imagine a world where more people were doing this inner work, where interactions were based on genuine understanding rather than defensive reactions, where conflicts could be resolved through open communication rather than escalating into full-blown arguments. That's the world we can create, one person at a time. This journey of emotional intelligence and self-awareness is ongoing. There's always more to learn, more layers to uncover. But each step you take brings you closer to a life of authentic connections and inner peace. So, here's your challenge. For the next week, every time you feel disrespected, pause, take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this real disrespect or am I being triggered? Just this simple act of questioning can start to shift your perceptions and reactions. Remember, you have the power to change your emotional responses. You're not doomed to be controlled by your triggers. With awareness, patience, and practice, you can learn to see the world through clearer, less defensive eyes. You've taken the first step just by watching this video. Now it's time to put these ideas into practice. Your future self and your future relationships will thank you for it. If you found value in this video, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who might benefit from these insights. Subscribe to my channel for more content on emotional intelligence and personal growth. And most importantly, leave a comment sharing your experiences or questions about dealing with perceived disrespect. Your story could be the inspiration someone else needs to start their own journey of self-discovery. Remember, the power to change your perceptions and reactions lies within you. It's time to reclaim that power and create the life and relationships you truly desire. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and keep challenging your perceptions. Your best self is waiting to emerge.